We're here at UCSD, one of the top neuroscience campuses on the planet. We're talking about cognitive biases that salespeople are running into on a daily basis. This is video number 2 in the series. Check it out. All right, let's get into cognitive bias number 2. Now, stay with me here because this cognitive bias is a little hard to believe. And actually, to give you some proof, if you care to, there's a really good but really difficult book to read. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. The thing is a textbook, but it's really humbling because as you read it, it'll take you through the cognitive biases that you have and you'll believe me. But this cognitive bias is called substitution. As it relates to sales, is substitution's that thing that happens when your prospect gets overwhelmed. So here's an example. You're taking your prospect through a complex buying cycle and they're sitting there a little bit overwhelmed because their life is overwhelming anyway. You've got a complex technology. Maybe they have a lot of moving parts on their side, other stakeholders they need to manage. What ends up happening is instead of asking themselves the hard question, which is this: what product or service is actually the best product or service for me to invest in for my business? When they ask themselves that question, their brain substitutes it for an easier question. The brain gets overwhelmed, goes into chaos, cognitive dissonance, and then it goes, how can I make this easier? Let's ask an easier question. So instead of going, what's the best product, your brain will go, well, what's the least expensive option? Or what salesperson do I like the most? Or what vendor has the best logos on their website? Or something as simple as what product looks the easiest to use? So some of you folks that sell some of the most sophisticated products in the world, you end up sitting there with a better product value, but it might not look as good on the outside. Your prospects will then get overwhelmed when looking at your product and go, well, I think XYZ company, it just looks a little easier to use, so let's go ahead and do that. There's a few things that you can do to offset this cognitive bias. The first one is you can actually acknowledge to your prospects that cognitive biases are real in their buying process. And you can let them know, hey, look, I know making a product or service decision as it relates to this particular decision or this particular service can be really difficult and it can be a little bit overwhelming. What can end up happening is in this overwhelm, ma'am or sir, you can end up accidentally making a quick decision like which salesperson do I like the best, which is cheapest, when actually it may not be the best product or service. So you need to educate your prospects on their likeliness of getting overwhelmed, and you need to coach them through that. Let them know that's probably going to occur. The second thing you can do to eliminate this cognitive bias of substitution is you can do something really cool. And you can create a checklist or a Q&A, and you can start explaining to that particular prospect that, hey, look, a lot of times when making this type of decision, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And what we've done is we've created a little checklist for you to start to eliminate some of that overwhelm. And this is what you'll do as a salesperson, kind of a secret weapon, as you'll send them or walk them through a digital guide that you've created that will take them through the tough questions that prospect needs to ask themselves and other vendors in order to really identify that your product or service is the best solution. Again, what we're trying to avoid here is the substitution cognitive biases that's going to happen in your prospect's mind every single time they're overwhelmed. So substitution is a reason that you may have lost a ton of sales in the past, especially when you think for sure, I've got this prospect, I've got this buyer. They make some weird decision or a decision to not move forward at all. It's likely that they just maybe even said, well, the easier thing to do is not to do anything right now. So make sure you try some of those tactics to allow your prospects to get rid of some of that overwhelm and actually make truly informed and educated decisions that have nothing to do with substitution. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to explore some technology that can offset some of the cognitive biases that your prospects are dealing with, click below. We'd love to show you a demo.